A dark-haired man stands at the gate. He apologizes to the knight and asks again if he can go to the castle. A guard with a spear in his hands explains that they themselves do not know what happened. The guy is a loyal assistant whom King Goth trusted so much, but they won't let him in. Everyone knows that his proposed policy has made the country richer. The knight doesn't understand what the king is thinking. Dill is silent and wonders what is going on here. He was born into a rural family of a count. Their family protects people and serves the king. Dill's brothers got great skills, and he got the strange skill summoning the ancients. No matter how hard he tries, he can't activate it. But the guy didn't give up so easily. He began to study hard, successfully passed the exams, and became the king's assistant. That's how Dill started working in the castle and joined the king's entourage. He was happy to serve the king and help people, but still. A man's voice asks the guy what's wrong with his face. Dill turns around and sees Acto. The blonde man decides that the face is great and the skill summoning the ancients is perfect for Dill. Acto grabs the guy by the shirt and pulls him to himself, calling him only a pathetic eyesore. But for some reason, it is Dila who is appreciated, not Acto. The man decides that everything is in the past. He did not think that the king would expel the guy so quickly. Dill adjusts his collar and through his teeth asks what he means. Is he really? Acto explains that he only did his job and could not have imagined that an official like him would try to sweep the country for himself. This could be a problem. Dill falls to his knees and realizes that it was him. He set it up. Acto adds that, by the way, the punishment is very mild. The king didn't even execute Dill. The guy thinks about the king, and Acto leaves, ordering him to get lost and calling him a beggar traitor. Dill looks down and asks Acto to take care of the country, not to use it for his own interests. The man turns around and shouts back that Dill will lecture his hillbillies. He can't be trusted with such a job with a worthless skill. Acto orders the guy to surrender and get out of here. Dill is riding in a cart in the middle of the forest. The guy holds his head and thinks about how it came to this. The coachman calls Mr. Diliuk and informs him that they will arrive in Tenma soon. The guy is thinking about the borderlands of Tenma. There are many races living here and the government has no special power. He also heard that the previous lord of the lands had escaped. Dill apologizes to the coachman for having to drive him so far. The man replies that it's not worth it, but Dill thanks him for taking him. The coachman informs me that Tenma will be visible soon. Dill looks into the distance and closes his eyes from the rays of the sun. The cart pulls into the village. The coachman asks the guy if he needs help with his things. Dill smiles ominously and replies that he needs to ask about the mansion first. The guy sees sluggish fields and ruined houses. He wonders if it's a village, because it looks more like ruins. Dill comes up to the hut and asks if people live here. The guy opens the door and asks for forgiveness. He explains that he was sent here as a lord, so he wonders where he can find the mansion. A blonde woman with a baby in her arms is surprised and asks again about the lord and the mansion. She remembers where the previous lord lived and leads the guy to a dilapidated building. The woman knows she looks bad, but Dill interrupts and replies that it will do. The girl needs to go to the mountains, so the guy is surprised and notices that the sun will set soon. She explains that they don't have any food at all. There is no food in their fields, so she goes to the mountains to feed her little sister. She could have shared it with a guy. Dill does not understand what kind of village this is, why young children are starving nowadays, and where such a place comes from in the country. Dill puts his hand on his chest and then offers to go to the mountains instead of the girl. The resident is surprised and refuses, but the guy asks not to worry. He would just look around, and she and the coachman would sort things out. The girl thanks, and Diliuk asks not to worry. The guy goes into the forest. The guy walks along the path and notices what a creepy forest it is. And there are nasty miasma everywhere. Miasma is the air containing a magical essence, a very terrible thing that attracts monsters. The skill summoning the ancients is useless here. Dill is proficient in fencing and has knowledge. He needs to pull himself together. Suddenly the guy freezes. He reaches for his sword and assumes it's a scream. A girl with a child in her arms and an old man are sitting in the bushes, and in front of them stands a monster with the head of a wolf. Dill uses the Rabilo style, cutting the starry shadow. The monster falls to the ground, and the frightened people are surprised. They wonder where such a skilled swordsman comes from. The old man assumes that he is asleep, but Dill believes that he did not do anything serious, and it is good that he was weak. A loud growl is heard. Dill raises his head and screams for people to run away from here. A huge great serpent appears in front of the guy. Danger level of the old man hugs the girl and tells her that this is the first time he has seen such a huge snake. The woman calls Dill a swordsman, and at this time a snake rushes towards the guy, opening its mouth. The guy blocks the blow with his sword and realizes that he cannot cope alone. The snake turns around and strikes with its tail. The monster has strong scales. No matter how hard you try, you can't pierce it with a sword. Dill dodges and does not understand what to do and how to save the inhabitants, because otherwise he is here. The guy rushes to the attack. He remembers Acto and wants to look him in the face again. But beyond that he wants to save these people. Dill opens his opponent's mouth with a sword. He has nothing but this useless skill, but she has to protect them somehow. Dill repels a blow with his tail and hears a voice telling him that he can activate the skill Summon the Ancients. To activate the storage, you need to spend points. The guy sees a window with information and wonders what it is, assuming it is his skill. Dill presses the summon button, not understanding why now. He doesn't know what summoning and glasses are, but decides that there is no time to think. The snake hisses, and the guy grabs his sword, ordering him to activate the skill. The snake is enveloped in flames. Dill is surprised and notices someone's mane, wings, and claws. The winged monster that appeared calls the guy Mister and asks what he should do. Dill assumes that it is a white dragon, raises his head and asks where the dragon is from and if he is the master. The rescued people look at the monster with horror in their eyes, and the guy begins to blush. The dragon explains that there is nothing to worry about anymore, but they could have defeated such a weak monster alone. Dill replies that he definitely couldn't, because he doesn't know how to use magic either. The dragon explains that then you shouldn't worry. The master's skill allows you to use the power of summon creatures. Now the guy should be filled with magical power. Dill suggests that he, like the dragon, can use fireballs. The monster confirms, so the guy brings the sword to his mouth and sucks in the fire. Dill's body is enveloped in magical energy. He doesn't understand what kind of power it is. The guy concentrates and looks at the approaching snake, deciding then to use the Rabilo style again, cutting the starry shadow. Dill strikes and is surprised. The monster's body is cut in half. The guy realizes that he really managed to beat him. The dragon agrees, and Dill remembers about the inhabitants. The old man calls him Mr. Swordsman and says that he is simply amazing. The girl adds that it was as if God himself had descended to them. The baby laughs and pulls a pen towards the guy. Dill asks the white dragon what his name is. The monster replies that her name is Hakuryu. Dill calls the dragon mistress, so she explains that it's not worth being so polite, because Mr. Dilliuk is her master. The guy asks if such a strong dragon obeys him, to which he gets the question, does he care so much? Hakuryu explains that this is not a problem, because he has already felt everything. Dill assumes that since the dragon is here because of his skill, it means it came from the past. Hakuryu replies that everything is fine, but she does not know the details, so she suggests that the guy check the information about the skill. Dill remembers that he needs to look at the status, opens a window with information and sees that one call is available to him. The summoning of the ancients allows you to summon creatures that lived about 4,000 years ago. Dill is surprised by the numbers, and the dragon realizes that 4,000 years have passed. She's been waiting so long. Hakuryu says that she was waiting for a person who would have mastered this skill. Others are also waiting to be called into this world. She appeared in this era. The dragon lowers his head and asks the master to take care of her. The guy agrees. He still doesn't understand a lot, but the skill is just great. He's not worthless at all. He came across a great skill. Then these lands are for sure. The blonde girl smiles, flies towards the light and realizes that here it has appeared. The one who will become her husband. Beyond ancient times in search of unprecedented love. Dill and the rescued people get on the dragon. They thank the guy for letting them fly with them. Dill replies that it's not worth thanking him, and the dragon adds that it's not difficult for her. The old man explains to the guy that he is his new lord, and the girl thinks that he is so reliable. Dill explains again that he hasn't done anything yet. The old man asks what he's talking about, because he defeated that snake with one blow. Mr. Dilliuk is such a strong man. The old man promises to tell everyone in the village. Dill refuses, but the old man thinks it would be nice if his master's exploits became known to everyone. The guy thinks that he's going there too. He was exiled, then he became the head of the Tenma borderlands. I was able to activate my skill, and I also saved people. This is not only his merit. He won thanks to Hakur. She gave him her power. The dragon says that a person with the summoning skill can use the powers of summoned spirits. Dill can use the power of summoned creatures. He thinks about the power of spirits and opens a window with information. It seems that he can summon another one, and if he accumulates more points, he can summon others. Only he doesn't understand how to do it. He still has a lot to figure out. All Dill knows now is that he can summon spirits who lived 4,000 years ago. The old man hears the figure and says that this is the same period, about which nothing is known. Even in the metropolitan records there is nothing about this era. A woman from the village has heard that it is called the era of a vanished civilization. Dill thoughtfully repeats the words of people, and they add that it is also called the legendary era. The guy wonders what she was like. The dragon reports that they have arrived in Tenma. Dill reports that he will walk through the village for now. The rescued residents thank Hakura because she helped them a lot. The dragon lies down on the ground and explains that it is the duty of the spirits to help the master. Dill says that the residents will be scared if they see her, but Hakuryu replies that it's not worth worrying about. Souls that do not have a human appearance can take on a different image. In addition, glasses are not required to summon a spirit that has already been summoned once. She will appear at the guy's call. The old man thanks Dill again for today. He talks about how he can help clean up his house, and so does the girl. The guy replies that it's not worth it, he can handle it somehow, and he asks them to better share the food with other residents. The old man holds a fried snake's tail in his hands, and the dragon says that it is delicious. The residents thank the guy again and decide that they will go then. Dill waves goodbye and asks them to have a good rest. He opens the door of his hut and realizes that it is problematic to spend the night here. Compared to the capital, this place looks nondescript, but he thinks he can get used to it. First, you need a storage room for food and water, and also light. Dill picks up the lamp and realizes that it looks like it's broken. The water barrels are no longer suitable, so it's also the north of the country. Winters are colder here, and things for daily use are not supplied here. How much he has to do. The guy remembers that he can make another call. He imagines a muscular man and assumes that he could fix the house. It would be nice to summon a strong worker. Yes, as soon as possible. Dill decides to try to summon the spirit. He opens the information board and activates the skill Summon the Ancients. He asks the ancient spirit to go through time and appear before him. Last time, because of the battle, he couldn't see, but now he understands what he is, the call of the ancients. By subjugating the ancient spirits, he can use their power. This is his worthless skill that he managed to awaken today. Whirlwinds and flashes of light appear in the hut. Dill does not understand what kind of light it is, and wonders what kind of spirit he will summon. A female figure appears in the hut, shrouded in smoke and light. Dill closes his eyes and sees the girl's clothes and hair. The stranger explains that she responded to the master's call. She is glad to meet Mr. Deal. Her name is Cindy Keem. A blonde girl with short hair happily thanks the guy for calling her. She had been waiting for this day for so long. Dill grits his teeth and, blushing, repeats Cindy's name. The girl puffs out her cheeks and says that it's not cute at all. She asks to be called simply Si-chan. Dill obeys, and the girl asks for forgiveness. She's just so glad to finally meet him. She promises that she will fulfill any request he makes and asks him to ask for whatever he wants. Dill thinks about it and explains that he actually wanted to fix the house, but asking a girl for such a thing is somehow too much. Cindy takes the guy by the hands and happily asks if he is worried about her, because he is a real gentleman, but she is well versed in alchemy. Dill asks about alchemy, he has never heard of it. Cindy clarifies if he doesn't know, and then decides it's better to show it clearly. The girl summons a magic circle and shouts the spell Alchemical Transformation. The boards in the hut begin to fly, and soon the walls become new and smooth. Everything is sparkling. Cindy asks the guy, how is he? Dill looks around and wonders what just happened. The girl laughs and says that this is very good. This is alchemy. It is based on the law of equal exchange. Using magic, she gathered nearby trees. The guy says that this is incredible and asks if this is really ancient magic. Zai explains that this is the future. She asks if there is no alchemy in the present era. The girl assumes that Mr. Dill can now use alchemy. The guy understands that it's true. He opens a window with information and sees a first-level alchemy skill. By giving an equal amount of energy, you can create different objects. He can really use it, although he doesn't fully understand it yet, but decides that he should try. Dill goes to the table and uses the alchemical transformation on the lamp, after which it is immediately repaired. The guy talks about what he did. Cindy snuggles up to Dill and says that it's great, because it turned out so well the first time. Dill feels like there is more magical energy, but this way he will be able to create a lot. He uses the transformation on chairs, water barrels, and decides that it turned out well. Zai says that she will help too. The guy explains that they could use another lamp. He would entrust it to her. Zai asks to rely on her and activates the magic circle, after which he uses the alchemical transformation again. A flower-shaped lamp immediately appears on the table. Dill shakes Cindy by the shoulders. She shouts back that she's not ready yet. The guy asks if she can create other magic items. The girl is only surprised in response. Cindy understands that the guy is talking about it. There will be problems in any business. She understands him and asks him to entrust everything to her. She creates a glass in which water appears with the help of magic, and in this box you can freeze food. The guy has definitely never seen such a thing. And a similar lamp too. In the current era there is nothing that could emit so much light. Now in cities, lamps can illuminate the bed at most. Cindy asks if it's true, because his lamp didn't use magic, and in the past, lamps were turned on by magic. And other objects were also commonplace 4,000 years ago. Dill wonders what kind of civilization it was 4,000 years ago, because they surpassed them in everything. With this technique, it is possible to improve the lives of the inhabitants of Tenma. With this technique, it will be possible to recreate an ancient civilization. How advanced was the civilization they know so little about? If only it could be restored. It's breathtaking. Cindy explains that she will do as much as the guy asks. She can do more. Dill asks if it's true. The girl confirms, because he was chosen by this skill. A lot of spirits are looking forward to him, and he will succeed, because he is her master. Cindy hands the guy a lamp and happily informs him that everything is ahead of him. Dill was exiled, and he came here, activated the skill, and gained a new life. This is his turning point. The guy asks what, by the way, does everything is ahead mean? Zai grabs his head and asks in response if they don't say that anymore. Dill replies that maybe they say he likes it, so he repeats that they have everything ahead of them. He wants to get better, wants to revive an ancient civilization and create a new one. He wants to make the people of Tenma happy. The guy holds out his hand to Cindy and asks her to take care of him. The girl agrees with Mr. Deal, shakes his hand and promises that she will always be with him. The guy remembers that he needs another bed. He uses an alchemical transformation and psi objects that one would be enough for them. The guys are standing in a lighted hut, and at this time 2 men are watching them from the bushes and smiling ominously. In the morning, Cindy, with a frying pan in her hands, calls Mr. Deal and wishes him a good morning. The guy tells the girl that she is early, but she explains that she is trying to be useful after his call. She wanted to make breakfast and wait for him. She even created kitchen utensils with the help of alchemy, except they don't have any food. She cannot create food with the help of alchemy. She wanted to feed Mr. Deal so much. The guy calms her down and explains that he is already glad that she thought of him. To begin with, it is worth getting food and it would be necessary to look at the fields in the village. Today they will once again eat the fried tail of a snake. Cindy asks, is it delicious? The guys walk between the fields and Cindy asks if this is the village of Tenma. A bald old man on the field notices the gentleman and thanks him for yesterday. Dill replies that there is nothing and asks the man if he is working in the field today. The old man confirms and explains that he has decided to avoid the forest as much as possible. First, I took up the beds. As they see, there are a lot of them here. There are also not enough hands. The old man looks at Cindy and asks the guy, who is this girl? Dill remembers that he hasn't introduced her yet. Cindy gives her name and introduces herself as the future wife of the gentleman. Dill denies and says that he summoned her as a dragon. She is his new companion, and her skill is alchemy. The old man is surprised by alchemy and explains that there is no such thing today, but Cindy says that then she will show him. She uses the alchemical transformation again and hands the resident a tool to cultivate the field. The old man asks if it's that fast. Cindy explains that for the sake of the master's dream, she will help him. This tool uses magic, and she asks the old man to try it out. The bald man is happy. He is surprised that he even cuts thick roots. It's the first time he's seen something like this. Cindy explains that if he presses the button, he will become both a hoe and a plow. The old man thinks it's incredible. Such a thing would help everyone in the village. Dill praises Cindy and asks if she can do it for him too, and to do more because he wants to give it to the residents. The girl agrees and says that there is one trick to convert a lot of metal. Alchemy is an equivalent exchange. Metal, which will become a rural tool, attracts magic and changes, taking a specific form. For example, only magic tools made by the master are attracted to each other. Deal understands everything. He writes down in a notebook that he attracts magic just like a magnet attracts iron. The guy activates the alchemical transformation and says that he has succeeded. Cindy thinks it's great. She presses the button and notices a strange sound. She recalls that Dill was able to accumulate points. This means that he can replenish them by helping with the household. Cindy says that, as expected from the gentleman, if the scale is completely filled, then he will be able to summon a new spirit, and this may be useful for the residents. So you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. The guys notice a strange sound, and Dill loudly asks what kind of scream it is. The old man points to the barn and explains that it was from there, from Letitia's house. The guy sees that house and shouts that they will hurry, after which the guys start running. A blonde girl comes out of the house. Dill asks her what happened. The resident calls the gentleman and asks for help. Because her sister, she was kidnapped. 2 armed men are laughing and holding a crying girl. A woman in tears explains that the villagers and her parents have already been kidnapped. If her sister is taken away, then Dill enters the hut, and the robber orders him not to move, because if he takes out his sword, he will finish off the little one. Dill swears and looks at the kidnapped girl. If he calls Hakuria, they can harm the hostage. At this rate, they're hers. Dill is thinking about what to do. Cindy suddenly raises her hand and addresses the gentleman kidnappers, asking them for a second. The girl suggests they take her hostage instead. The robber is surprised, and Cindy explains that she just wants to help the little girl and the village. She won't resist as long as they don't touch others. The girl smiles, suggests that this is a good deal. The robber examines Cindy and agrees. Dill asks the girl what she is doing. Men with blades grab her and say that she surrendered herself, so they ask her not to cry later. Cindy smiles at Deal, and the crying woman grabs her sister Rena. The robbers tell each other that it's not bad. They will heal normally soon. One of the men picks up a ball wrapped in ropes and throws it into the ground, shouting that they will see each other. Dill tries to stop the men, but after a moment they disappear, leaving behind only overturned furniture. The resident apologizes to the gentleman because Cindy had to go instead of Rena. The guy replies that it's not their fault. Besides, Cindy knows how to use magic. It's so easy for her. The guy remembers that she would not have given up so easily. She definitely has a plan. The old man sits by the hut and wonders how they dared. Dill looks at the magic tools and remembers the magic power. He grabs the tool and explains that he will borrow the sickle for a while. The guy calls for a Hakuro and asks to go with him. The dragon immediately appears and agrees with the master. Near the cave in the rock, armed men are laughing. They look at Cindy tied up and decide that this is not a bad product. What an easy deal, it will bring them a lot of money. They took away her things and she had nothing of value. They obviously won't get any money. The men throw the loot on the ground and think that she said she would not resist. She's also such an unflappable, strange girl. He can't even say a word out of fear. One of the men points to the other prisoners and asks the girl to go to them. Cindy realizes that these are stolen villagers. They are kept here until the buyers arrive. The robber explains that she will be sold, just like everyone else. Their entrance is blocked, so no one will enter here. She may not even dream of escaping. Cindy says that it's not for her to worry. He will definitely come, her lord. The robber grabs the girl by the head and orders her to watch her tongue. He is about to punch her in the face, but at that moment there is an explosion behind her. The men shout and ask what that sound is, and Dill appears in the cave with a sword in his hands. He apologizes to his girlfriend for waiting, and the robbers realize that he is the one, and ask how he knows about their place. The guy explains that Cindy suggested it to him. Magical energy is attracted, after all. The objects they create have magic, and they are attracted. Cindy tells the gentleman that it's amazing. She believed in him. The kidnappers swear and realize that this is already a problem. But their leader asks them not to worry. Although the guy found this place, he can also use magic himself. Dill concentrates and rushes at the opponent with a sword. The man understands that he is fast, Robolo style, cutting the starry shadow. Dill strikes the man, and the other robber does not understand who this guy is. Dill walks around the man from behind and says that he will not run away. He attacks one man after another and immobilizes them. The robbers are lying on the ground and groaning. Dill ties them up and approaches Cindy, saying that it's all thanks to her. Cindy explains that it's all out of love for the master. The bound villagers are screaming that this can't be happening. They were saved. Dill sees the kidnapped residents and asks if they are all there. Cindy explains that they were all kidnapped by thieves. We need to take the handcuffs off them, and she will help too. Dill thinks that everything seems to be fine. He notices the cage and wonders what's here. The guy notices the half-humans. They were stolen into slavery. Dwarves and men with bare ears are handcuffed behind bars. Dill opens the dungeon and, freeing the dwarf, asks if they are injured. The short man anxiously asks if he is releasing them. Dill explains that, of course, and asks to go from here. The dwarf says that people always oppress them, beat them, wiped their feet, sold them. The guy asks not to worry because now everything is over. He removes the shackles from the man's hands and says that as a lord, he is happy to help them. The dwarf asks who he is, and the guy pulls his hand and remembers that he did not introduce himself. He is the lord of the village of Tenma de la Crubilo. The dwarf shakes the man's hand and calls him the man who saved them. The released prisoner asks to be allowed to repay the debt to their village. Dill thanks the dwarf, but asks if they don't want to return to their home. The dwarf cannot return without paying off the debt. They're such dwarfs. The male beasts say that they also want to repay him, but people are afraid of their appearance. And the villagers of Tenma. Other released people ask what they are talking about. After all, they became closer in captivity. If anything, they will try to convince the villagers. Dill says that's nice. The people of Tenma will be glad to see them. Although he has recently come here, he is sure of it. Everyone smiles, and Dill suggests going to the village. After a while, the guy carefully releases the kidnapped residents from the dragon. The monster asks the gentleman if Cindy is doing well. Dill replies that, of course. At this time, a girl runs up to the guys with a baby in her arms. She's calling for mom and dad. The kidnapped family members notice Letitia and Rena. They scream, hug their daughters and ask for forgiveness. The girls reply that everything is fine and thank God that they are safe and all the residents have returned too. The girl asks Cindy how to thank her. The girl explains that she did nothing. It is worth thanking Mr. Deal. Letitia runs up to the guy, grabs his hand and says that she will never forget it. Dill replies that the main thing is that everything is fine now. He would like to introduce someone to them. The guy points to the guests and explains that they are dwarves and bears. They were also kidnapped by thieves, but they came here to help rebuild the village. Residents look at the sad men in surprise, and Letitia goes to meet them. The girl thanks them for supporting her parents. The man with the bare ears asks if she is afraid of them. The girl smiles broadly and replies that, of course not. They're friends who have been through grief. The rest of the residents agree that she speaks correctly. They'll feel better if they stay with them. Dwarves and half-humans smile at Deal. As they said, it's a good village. The guy also thanks the half-humans for coming to them. The dwarves promise that they will work hard. Dwarves build houses well. The half-beasts explain that they will help too. Dill thanks the men and says that he relies on them. This is the first step towards the dream of a happy life in Tenma. Dill and Cindy walk along a busy city street. They are holding a bag in their hands and discussing that they have received an excellent award. The police didn't seem to know what to do. They were so confused when they brought the bandits. Cindy tells the guy that he's doing great. They captured the kidnappers. Several days have passed since that moment, and in order to receive a reward from the police, they arrived in the nearest city. The officer asked the guys if they had captured all of them alone. The guy explained that he was not completely alone. Criminals caught people in the village and sold them in this city as slaves. Unpleasant people were caught not only in Tenma, but also the locals felt relieved. And that's true. The guys notice that the street is busy, as if they are in an ancient city. Dill asks the girl if the cities in the past were not different from the current ones. Cindy explains that they were a little more developed. Dill understands everything. This city is also quite good. But the technologies of the past are simply amazing. For a girl, the best city is the one where she can walk with a gentleman. She hugs the guy by the hand and assumes that they have flown here to Hakura for a date. Dill replies that no, there is an important task today. He wants to make a deal. After all, Tenma has no connections with the outside world, so they will try to sell the things created by the girl. Since he has also learned alchemy, Dill wants to sell goods in large quantities. They will have to be of good value, and if they can make money on this, then it will help the whole village. So they have to succeed. Cindy tells the gentleman that he will definitely cope. The guy agrees and sees a flag with an image of a maple leaf. They came. This is the Maple Chamber of Commerce. He had heard that they were the best in the country. Dill comes into the room and says hello. The employee behind the counter says that he has not seen him before. He asks why they came and asks them to speak briefly. The man assumes that they have come to buy or sell something. Dill stumbles and realizes that it is immediately obvious that this is the main trading company in the country. The seller asks what the product is, and Dill explains that it is an everyday utensil. The employee says that if there is any junk, then he is not interested. But the guy asks to wait. He throws a bag on the counter and asks to take a look first, thinking that he will not be intimidated. The man with glasses looks closely and notices that the guy is full of confidence. A lamp and 2 glasses appear on the table. An employee of the Chamber of Commerce is surprised and examines the goods through a magnifying glass. These are, of course, rare items. Cindy asks the employee to touch the magic stone. The man assumes that this is some kind of magic. He touches it, and water immediately appears in the cup. The man does not understand what kind of glass it is, but Cindy explains that water is transformed from the magic accumulated in the stone. You can create 1 glass of water per hour and it is drinkable. And if he turns on the lamp here, then the girl presses the button and the employee screams about how bright it is. He had never seen anything like it. The man hits the counter and loudly announces that he will buy everything from them. He would give $100,000 for a lamp and $50,000 for a glass. No, it's also 100,000 Peru. Dill is thinking about 100,000 trans. Depending on the position, the amount may be equivalent to a monthly salary, even more than he imagined. The guy gives his girlfriend a thumbs up, and the employee offers to sign a contract as soon as possible, so he asks the guy what his name is. Dill remembers that he didn't even introduce himself and gives his full name. The employee repeats the guy's last name questioningly and does not understand if he is the one. He starts shaking and bowing, explaining that he was incredibly rude. He did not know that he was Mr. Robolo. He had heard of him, but he didn't think he would come right here. The guy explains that there is no need to worry, now he is just the head of a small village, and now he is just a deluxe from Tenma, and he has a request. The guy pulls out a card and points at it. He needs the caravans to make their way to Tenma, and they are already making purchases directly. The worker explains that the village is quite far away. It will be difficult to pull this off, but even though he is a gentleman, he must forgive. Dill thinks that the location is inconvenient, and this is understandable given the costs and risks. But you can try this way. The guy explains that he will say directly that there are a lot of lands there. If you think ahead, they may have many opportunities. In addition, magical items are created in Tenma, and if the purchase is made directly, they will not need a pass. This is beneficial for both. The employee thinks about it and replies that this is, of course, true. But there are rumors that people are being kidnapped there. The guy holds out a piece of paper and, smiling, says that they have sorted it out. Here's a thank you letter from the police. The employee screams again to ask if they got rid of them. He takes off his glasses and agrees, promising that next time he will send his group there. He'll be waiting. The men shake hands, and Dilyuk thanks the man, saying that this is a great deal. The guys are flying over the city on a dragon. It seems that they have achieved their goal, so they did not fly there in vain. The guy thanks Hakura, and the dragon replies that you are always welcome. Now Tenma has a source of income. It will make life easier, and they will make the village a better place. At this time, the bestial inhabitants and dwarves are building houses and watching the dragon. The men with the materials in their hands notice that the gentleman has returned. They thank him for his work. Dill also thanks the residents and notes that they have already managed to build a house. They're fast. The dwarf says that this is just an ordinary shack. The guy raises his head and examines the building. He wouldn't say that. The dwarves decide that the master is flattering them. They want him to be happy. Dill smiles. The man with the bear ears says that they won't lose to those thieves anymore. When they work, they also train. Other residents say that they are reliable. The head of the village asks the guys if they work together. The guys from the village explain that they are just helping. People used to be afraid of beastmen, but now they rely on them. The man beast says that he is like in a dream. He turns to the master and says that he does not have enough words to thank him. Dill replies that he should be grateful and thanks the man. The village has become lively, but something needs to be done with these fields. A resident with a jug in her hand sees the gentleman and greets him. Dill notices Letitia. The girl draws water into a jug and tells that it is from a nearby stream. There she collects it and waters the fields. Dill screams and asks if she's always running back and forth. The girl confirms, and Cindy explains that there's not much you can do with a jug here. The population of the village has increased, and agriculture requires a lot of water, so it is inefficient to use a jug. Dill remembers that his alchemy level has increased. In exchange, he can create various items. He's already on the 3rd level. Now he can use much more magical energy. The guy agrees and decides that they will try. He uses an alchemical transformation and splits the earth in front of him. A water channel appears in front of the guys, and Dill decides that it turned out well. Cindy says that this is amazing, and the resident is surprised and explains that the earth is solid here, but he was able to create even a water channel, so she thanks the gentleman again. Dill replies that it's not worth it, but he's interested in something. There is not enough water from the stream. He asks if they used to live on water from this spring. The girl explains that yes, but there used to be more of it, but recently the influx has sharply decreased. There is less water. Dill understands that there have been no changes in the climate here, so there is a problem with the water source. He assumes that something has happened in the forest and decides that it will be necessary to check. At this time, toothy monsters are circling at the source of the stream. Dill and the beastly workers are walking through the forest. It's still a long way to go, and the men ask their master to be careful. Dangerous monsters live in these places. Perhaps they have something to do with all this. In any case, it is worth checking. But you need to be on your guard. Dill understands what will happen to them if something happens to the master. Otherwise, he won't be able to look into Cindy's eyes. The guy apologizes for her and explains that in the study he wants them to do hard work. He pulls out a net, and the men ask what they need it for. Dill says that it is made for catching wild boars, and weights made of magic stones are attached to it in the corners. When the prey attacks her, the trap will close. If a person gets into the network, then you just need to touch the stones to get free. So to speak, an automatic security capture network. The guy lays out a net on the ground. The residents decide that this is a great idea. He suggests installing it quickly. If you can get at least some food that way, then the residents will not have to go to the mountains. The employees suggest that the guy go further for now. Walking further through the forest, the beastman notices that there is more and more miasma. One of the residents has one request for the master. If a monster appears, he asks to be allowed to fight. They are noticeably stronger than humans, but even so they were captured by bandits. The guy saved them, and they want to show him their true strength. Dill agrees, but as a lord he cannot stand by and watch his people put themselves in danger. He asks if he can guide them during the battle. The men agree and thank the guy. Meanwhile, a growl comes from the bushes. The 3-headed wolf Cerberus appears in front of the guys. The beastmen are shouting that this is the enemy. Dill asks to surround him first, and one goes with him. Men obey. Due to the fact that Cerberus has 3 heads, it has more visibility. First, you need to disorient him in close combat. The bear man bares his claws and promises the monster with a shout that he will now show him bear rage. He grabs the wolf by one of the heads, and Dill asks him to throw it. He understands that this is great, but he must not let his guard down. One of the beastmen climbs onto a hill and throws a boulder off it. He falls right on the back of Cerberus, and another resident jumps on top of the monsters. Cerberus stops breathing, and the men shout that they have won. It's all thanks to the master. Dill runs up and informs them that they did a good job. He praises them and tells them that there is very little left to the water source. They are going in the same spirit. Soon, Dill is surprised. He understands that this is the source of water in the mountains. He can even see the bottom of the pond. If all this water gets into the village, then Dill notices a boulder blocking the current's path.